Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. My guest is Anita Fonteboa.
Yeah,
How are you doing, Anita?
I am good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, thanks for being the guest on the Dreamcatcher podcast. So Anita, where are you located at?
I am in Queens, New York.
Okay, awesome. That's one part of the country I've never been. So, is that where you grew up?
Yes, I did. I've lived here almost all my life. When I had gotten married, I moved to Rhode Island and then got divorced, and then I moved back when I got remarried.
Okay. So, do you like Queens, or do you like living in the big city?
I do. It for a bit I needed that change, and I went
Mm-hmm.
off to Rhode Island, and it was so comfortable. It was so quiet.
I
I was
bet.
so used to that. And then while I was there for a couple of months, I started feeling that I needed that urbanness
I
of New
can
York.
understand that.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so Anita, if I was coming to the Queens, what would be your favorite thing? What would you suggest that I go visit?
Oh my God, there's so many things.
I
So I
bet.
live near City Field. I live by the Mets.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And then I would always like to take people to go on the Staten Island ferry because you're able to see a little bit of Manhattan skyline. But not only that, you can see the Statue of Liberty. It's a beautiful
Nice.
view. Yes.
No, I love that. I mean, that would be. I need to get to that part of the country, that's for sure. So Anita, for work wise, what do you do in Queens?
So right now, I am an author of two books. I've written Gratitude with Grace, Finding Happiness, and The Cleansing Rituals. I've
Okay.
written these two books. I'm an intuitive author, so some people would say it's being psychic, spiritually
Okay.
connected to the other side. That's what I'm doing right now.
So how? I mean, have you always been intuitive?
I believe so. As a young child, I remember listening to keys. I could hear keys in my ears. And then moments later, my mother would walk in, or sometimes I would hear the phone ringing in my ear as well. And a couple of minutes later, the phone would actually ring.
Wow. I mean, that is. I mean, that's it. That'd be so interesting. I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so intuitive. I mean, does that mean you can see like somebody else what's going to happen to somebody else?
I do. I've had that happen to me.
Oh
My
wow.
in my last place of employment, I remember I had a dream where I saw one of the people who worked there. She was going to be pregnant, and
Uh-huh.
next day I come in. Hey, I just had a dream with you. I kid
Wow.
you not. Like a month later, they confirmed that they were pregnant. Yeah.
That is really cool. So is it always positive things that you can see or
Yes and no. So
okay?
that's the only thing about being intuitive. You get both.
I bet.
I shared this in one of my other podcasts that I had of a dream that I had, and at the time I didn't realize what it was,
Uh-huh.
but it was like I live near LaGuardia Airport,
Okay.
so it was like as if I was walking down the hill going towards LaGuardia, and it looked like people running. I thought people were having a race, but then when I got up more closer, I saw that they were burning. They were running, burning. They didn't
Oh
know that they
wow.
were, so they were like crying and screaming and things like that going down. And I didn't understand. I just thought it
I
was very
bet.
strange. But they were running towards like LaGuardia. A couple of, I'm gonna say like a couple of weeks later, 9/11 happened.
Wow.
9/11 happened. Yeah.
That is wow. I'll just
Yeah.
say wow.
Yeah.
I can't even anything to say with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
so with being intuitive, why the books? I mean, what drew you to do the two
The
books?
My books were inspired by my angels and my guides. Every one of us has someone that you can ask for help.
Okay.
There's always a helper angel for anyone. Like you always ask for, "Ah, please, can I get a parking spot?" There's a helper angel for that. There's
I
always
like that
someone. Yeah, there's
one.
always like an angel around or a spirit guide around. Sometimes when I created, let me backtrack.
Okay.
I started writing through Queens NYC Mom. I started a lifestyle blog, and as my kids got older, I had to rebrand because they didn't want to be a part of it, and I
Okay.
wanted to start doing things like for myself, like my own passions. And I created Anita Inspires.
Okay.
One of those was when I started creating the social medias. I was changing everything around to from Queens NYC to Anita Inspires. And I remember I was trying to find the website under that name, and it
Okay.
was being held by someone else that had like two different emails.
Oh yeah.
And I remember one night I was just sitting, and all of a sudden something told me, go check now. And I did. It was available, and I
Oh,
purchased it right away. So
perfect.
that's like one of those spirit guide moments that they'll just come in that moment and they'll tell you.
That is so
Yeah.
neat. I mean, for somebody that's never experienced that, I
Mhm.
mean, you said everybody has their
Yeah.
guide, or
Yeah.
how do you experience it if you've never experienced your guide?
You start practicing. You start practicing. You can start off very basic. Um, call onto them. I call forth my spirit guides, or I call forth my angels, guardian angels, and just ask them a basic kind of like a yes or no question.
Okay.
I'm planning on taking this trip here. Like, should I go? And
Uh huh.
you'll either feel it like a knowing telling you
Okay.
yes, or you will either see like a vision that says yes or no. Like I have that happen a lot. I'll ask a question and I'll see it in my mind's eye. I'll see the answer. Or it could just happen where you're just walking down the street, and like one time I asked for a sign and I asked for rainbows. I wanted to see a rainbow.
Okay.
It
Nice.
doesn't happen too often here in New York, but
I
when it
bet.
does happen, it does happen.
Uh
But I
huh.
remember I was driving, and all of a sudden I looked over and I saw the name on the building, and it said Rainbow. It was like Rainbow
Oh,
Laundry. And
that
I
is
was
so
like,
cool.
that was it. That was my sign. So it's something simple that you can ask. And then the more that you start doing it, the more you're going to start connecting,
Okay.
and you're going to be able to connect to that guide or that angel that you have.
That is so neat. I mean, that is so okay. Do you have a podcast?
I do. It's the
Okay.
Anita Inspires podcast. I'm
Okay.
inspiring you to be better.
So how long have you been doing your podcast?
I've been doing it for a year.
Okay.
It actually came about when I was changing over from Queens NYC Mom, and I actually, like I said, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but I was going to stop. It was just like I got to that point where my kids didn't want to do it anymore. I used to be invited to different events. I used to collaborate and network with other bloggers, with other brands, with
Right.
companies,
Right.
and doing my own reviews for different products. But it came to the point where I was like, okay, I can't go to a toy event because my kids not little anymore. All they
Uh
want is money, money, money.
huh. Yeah.
So
It gets to that point. Yes.
yes. So I decided to kind of rebrand, and I started looking at things that made me happy now. And
Yes.
I know, and I've seen this on your page, quotes. I love quotes. Sometimes you see
Me
a
too.
quote and it inspires you, and it kind of
Yes.
makes that day that's going bad, and it just transforms it, and it makes it so much better.
It does. Yeah. It's amazing how just a little quote can do that. So,
Yeah.
and I've even been trying to. I think maybe it was inspired from you the other day. I have a journal where
Mhm.
and it's just like, okay, if I think of it, I'm going to write it down. Kind of
Oh,
one of those.
this is
Oh, is
mine.
that? Huh, I like your.
This is mine.
That, that,
I tend to write down my dreams because I get
okay.
so many and I just write them down. The last one that I had that I didn't like you meant, like you said to me, if you've had any good ones and bad ones. But the last
Right.
one was, and I think I mentioned this when we talked, but I saw like a plane when I was walking down the street. I looked up and I saw a plane, and I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then like a moment that I look down, the next thing I hear a boom,
Yeah.
and I look up and I see like smoke. But
Hmm.
the strangest part is that after that, when I looked back up, I saw like two planes in the sky with the smoke, but
Right.
then there was like two planes on either side of it, kind of like walking it or bringing it down. And I
Wow.
and I said to myself, that is so strange.
That is.
That same morning when I woke up, I saw that a plane in Brazil went down and everyone was
Was
killed,
yeah. That
unfortunately.
was
Yeah. And I
tragic.
remember in my dream, I said, no, please, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen. That's
Wow.
the only thing that I don't like those kind of dreams.
I wouldn't either.
No.
So, I mean, do you have siblings that have this gift? I
I
mean, do
do.
you really?
I do. My sister Destiny, she's on an NY Mom Style on her YouTube channel.
Okay.
She's been having this as long as I have. She's my younger sister, but
Okay.
she started more earlier on the path than I did. And I remember when she was going through all those changes of her
Mm-hmm.
own awakening,
Mm-hmm.
she started practicing the chakras with the
Oh,
Kundalini,
yeah,
and
right.
she was able to get to it first before I did. I then started going through that change. It's kind of like for me, my story of my own awakening was I just everything just started going wrong. I
Oh,
started
really?
feeling that, like, even in my own career and the things that I wanted to make happen, it just was like at a standstill. It was like I would go one step further and then it was like taking three or four back. And it just was a continuous pattern like that.
Wow.
And it came to the point where I don't know, it's kind of like people say, like it just something
Mm-hmm.
happens within you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you wake up and it's like anything that was worrying you just fades. It doesn't bother you anymore.
I know that
And
feeling.
you start seeing everything in a different light. It's like your mindset changes. And that's like my awakening. And from that, I started getting inspiration on like watching YouTube videos and wanting to write. And I just started writing. And
Okay.
I remember when I started writing my first book, I was just like, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to
Uh-huh.
write. And I was saying that out loud. And I saw my
It's got to be something
yeah.
always.
And my spirit guides were telling me just keep writing, keep writing. It's gonna work its way out. That story
Mm-hmm.
that you need to write, and that's exactly how it happened. Mhm.
Wow. I mean, awesome. I mean, it's just so your husband, what does he think of this?
He calls me a witch or like a
Oh,
bruja.
well,
And you know what? I started accepting that, like my witchy vibes. Yeah, I have, because it's kind of like it used to be something taboo. Like, you remember the Salem witch trials
oh
and things like
yes,
that.
yes,
And
yes,
now people have been awakening, and the
yeah,
spirituality has been taking over that body, mind, and spirit. People have been gravitating towards that, even after like COVID, where everything just kind of hit a standstill.
yes.
And people started losing jobs and they started having to recreate themselves and learning new things. I mean, it really opened people up to new things.
It really did. So
Mhm.
I mean, that is so. I mean, so what is next? You got more books that you want to write?
I do. My next one that I want to write is a fiction. I have
Okay.
to just learn how to write fiction. It's a little bit more complex. There's a lot of more details that you have to add to it that I didn't
True.
think about, than when you write a nonfiction book. Because a nonfiction book is basically like you're telling your story and you weaving it to give like a lesson, or like sharing some information that they need to know.
Right.
Mhm.
No, I can see that. I could do that. So when's that book gonna come out?
When I start writing it.
I can relate with that
No,
one.
I just finished writing this one in January. Like, I
Oh,
published
very
this in
recently.
January. Yeah, and this one was in November. So
Wow. So very recently.
yeah.
So wow. What was the thing that started you to do the books very recently? What was it? You just it got to the point.
I was There's always something that inspires you. It might be, like I said, a quote that you see and that kind of like triggers something within you. And I remember I was flipping through YouTube and I found this video about creating gratitude journals. And I was like, oh, I could do that.
Uh huh.
I learned watching the people doing it on YouTube. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try. I'm that type of person that if I see
Right.
something, I don't let that fear stand in my way. I
Which is good.
kind of like I jump towards that. That's like one of the themes in my gratitude with grace, finding happiness. Face your fears, because you start
Yes.
overthinking it, you start worrying so much, and it's something that, like I said, the next day I woke up and it was just like, why am I worrying about it? Why am I
Yeah.
giving that power? Why am I giving that energy to that?
Yeah.
And I took it, I ran with that idea, and that's how these two books were conceived.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
so do you speak on stage or do anything like that?
I'm sorry.
Do you speak on stage or do
No,
you?
no, I speak on my YouTube channel, Anita Inspires, and on my podcast.
Okay.
No,
And is that anything in the future you'd want to do?
oh, I wish that my books can be made into movies or TV show
Awesome.
or something like that, you know? Hopefully in the future, I'm manifesting it so it could come.
That is so yes, and it will.
Yeah.
So okay, this is Dreamcatcher podcast. So what was your dreams when you were growing up? What did you want to become, or what did you want to be?
I wanted pushed by my dad. I got pushed into the law,
Oh
into being a
wow.
lawyer. It's not what I thought of doing. I really can't tell you. I remember maybe being like a dentist or a dental hygienist. I don't know, something in the medical field.
Right.
But
Okay.
I went to college and I almost went to law school. But then I realized after working at a law firm, it's not for me. You know, it's not for
I
me.
think it'd be the same way with me. I can't imagine that would be not for long. That's for sure.
Hmm.
So okay, going a couple years down the road, where would you like what you're doing now to be? I mean, maybe the movies being made, or
I hope so. I hope I can have like a trilogy and Hallmark will
awesome.
pick it up
There
and
you go.
yeah, I'm manifesting it.
You
I'm
might as well. I
calling it to
mean,
me.
manifest big there. I mean, that
Yeah.
is so.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, I mean, manifesting and guides and everything. How do you approach somebody that is not on that?
On that realm, well,
Yeah.
you can tell. I believe that you can tell. As I believe I'm a little bit of an empath, so I can
Okay.
tell sometimes, and I can feel what that other person's feeling. I even had a situation where, like, I felt something and I didn't say anything, and then, like, later on, I found out that that person ended up in the hospital,
Oh
and
wow.
I felt really bad because I didn't say anything. But since I'm learning,
Hmm.
it's like baby steps. You're learning
Yeah.
as you go. So it's also me being able to say, hey, you know, like this happened.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
doing the podcast, doing the lifestyle blog, it kind of put me thrusted into the spotlight because
Yeah.
I'm an introvert, so I'm very
Which
shy,
I find that
and
hard to believe.
I am I am very shy.
Okay.
So it makes me have to take those risks. It makes me take that fear away. You know,
No.
taking that
Yeah.
leap of faith. Yes.
And that is good. I think that is very good. So, no, I mean, okay. So, do you like to travel, or do you do that?
I do. We've recently started traveling a little more now that all COVID restrictions
Right, right.
are opening. But I just came back from Florida, so I had an
Ah,
amazing time in Florida.
I love Florida. I mean, that is one of, especially in the wintertime, I really love Florida. So, I mean, that is so cool. Okay, podcasting. So, what else does the audience need to know that Anita's doing that we haven't discussed yet?
Well, I also created a Facebook group for my
Okay,
fan author base. It's called
okay,
the Witchy Crew Community,
okay.
and that's where I want to like inspire you as well. There, inspire you to be better, to share resources because we all should be supporting each other. It's kind of like
Amen.
when you have your crown, you have to fix the other person's.
Yes, yes.
You collaborating and opening new avenues or new ways of thinking.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. And I love the collaborating because I think, especially in this country, we do the too much competition rather than collaborating. And
Yeah.
I mean, collaborating is a win-win,
Mhm.
And I mean, competition, I guess, is for one side, but I would rather collaborate anytime. So I mean, that just doing this podcast, I always want to reach out and help. And so, do you get your husband on stage, or would you get? He won't do any of this stuff. So
No. And like I said, that's why I rebranded too, because my kids just didn't want to do it anymore. They didn't want to participate. They don't want to take pictures. So when you have a teenager, you can't smile anymore. That's unheard of.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, there is. I remember that. Yeah, it's just like I
Yeah.
look back at what I was like as a child at that age, or you
Mhm.
think you're an adult, young
Yeah.
adult, and
Mhm.
I'm surprised I'm still alive. Oh, it was terrible. Oh my gosh. And my sister joined me with that too. She's 4 years younger, and we were both. Oh wow. It's a good thing you lived through those. I mean,
Oh, yeah, it's different. I mean, like from my age group and now, like we didn't have the internet started with us, but social media and things like that, no. So it's like you were able to get away with a lot of things back in the day, but
yes,
now you can't because
you
there's
can't.
cameras everywhere.
Everything, everything is on. So okay. I'm writing a book. I think maybe I told you the other day that I wanted to write a book.
Mhm.
So if somebody was really wanting to write a book and really has never done that, where would you start? Where would you tell the person how to start?
I love this lady, and I think I just mentioned her in my last video, taking the leap.
Okay.
For you not to be afraid and just start doing things like a hobby that you have and just ride with it, go with it, take that opportunity. But her name is Sarah Cannon. She's a
Okay.
young, a YA, like a young adult author for young adult books and
Okay.
like college age books. And she has her channel, Hearts Breathing. She actually has a Publish and Thrive course that she does videos that you can go through Teachable, and she shows you how to self-publish, like all the steps
Wow.
into publishing. She also has her YouTube channel where she tells you like how to outline your book if it's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I think she said she was working on nonfiction because that's where my books are right now. They're nonfiction.
Okay. Right.
They're self-help, but she has a plethora of resources, and even her own, when you sign up to her newsletter, she has a resource library that is free, and she has templates, she has
Really?
journaling, yes.
Wow.
And the biggest thing is, like sometimes you kind of get frustrated because you sometimes hit those plot holes where you don't
Mhm.
know how you're going to
Yeah.
go forward. It's just like me. Like, I remember when I was writing my books, I'm like, I don't know what else to write. And then they just kept telling me, keep writing, keep writing. It will come to you. It will come to you,
Okay.
So she's like amazing. I mean, there's also Dave Chesson. I believe he's from Kindlepreneur.
Okay.
He does also self-publishing, and
Really?
he created I think it's called Pocket Rocket or Rocket Pocket. I forgot what it is.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
about keywords that you use when you're
Ah,
self-publishing
makes sense.
for Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Ingram
Right.
Spark. Those are all the platforms that you use to self-publish.
No, I think so. So you self-published?
I self-publish, yes.
Oh wow. Was that what you thought that'd be like?
No, honestly, I thought it was going to be so much easier, but it takes a lot of work because you don't go with a traditional publisher that's going to market
Right.
you and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I can market my own stuff, but while I took her course, I believe in January of this year, and I realized there's so many things that goes along when you are launching
I bet.
a book. The little swag that you give out for pre-orders
Right.
and
Right.
things like that, and kind of like just promoting it with other websites. I believe it's like Book Buddy or
Okay.
Book Funnel, and getting people to review your book. That's the biggest thing because that really will help you help other people find your books, but also help give people an idea of what your book is about and how they liked it.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's really cool. I
Mhm.
never have known any of that.
Mhm.
So Anita, if somebody had a dream
Mhm.
and they didn't think they could accomplish it, or it's like, nah, I'm never going to do that. So what would you tell them?
I would tell them to kind of like put it on a vision board.
Okay.
I remember I followed this YouTuber. I think her name was Annie. I don't remember the whole name. Or
Okay.
Oh my Annie, I think it was. And she created vision boards, and I started doing the same thing. I would create my own cork board and stick pictures on it and
Right.
things like that. And I actually put, I want to write a book, and it it's just you have to then manifest it, but you also have to put the work into it because
Yes.
just because you say you're gonna manifest it, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like
It just does. Yeah. Just like
yeah, I usually give the example of like you want to win the lottery, but you never go to buy the lottery ticket. So
Yep.
how are you gonna win the
Going to be real
lottery?
tough.
You
Yes.
know, so it you just have to plan it. Research of what it is that you want to do, and any field, because any field that you go into, you have to know what you want to do. Even with self-publishing, do you want to self-publish or do you want to go the traditional route?
Right.
Do you want to get hire a literary agent that will push your book to the publishers, or will you go directly to a publisher and try to go that route? There's many
Okay.
different ways of publishing a book, but you have to see what's better for you.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, until you really get into anything, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So Anita, what is something that you have never done that you still want to do? Like that dream that's way off over there.
My dream that I had, and I bought tickets, and I'm so upset because I went down to Florida and Hurricane Debbie was there, but
Oh,
I was gonna go swim with the dolphins at Discovery.
oh,
Oh my God. I was so let down
That's
because
too
I wanted
bad.
to do that. That's been one of my dreams
That
of
would be
doing
neat.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that. So do you get to do that sometime? Do they give you a rain check?
They gave me a rain check, but it's just to then find the time to go actually go
Yeah,
down, you know.
yeah,
I don't want to go down during like my school breaks because it's not as warm. It's more
true.
warmer in the summer than it is
Oh
during
yes,
it's not to say because Florida weather is a little weird. I mean, you
it
see the
is.
rain in one place and it's not raining in another place.
Yeah. No, and you would love that. I mean, 2 years ago, my wife and I went down there to Key
Yeah,
West, and we went out on this
I love it.
excursion, and the dolphins were just there. And they were, and I don't know what you call little dolphins, but real little ones, and they just stayed with us.
Oh,
And it's just like they're so. I love their personalities. You know
yeah.
how they're just so. I think very smart too.
Hmm.
But it's just like wow. There's sometimes I think there's a lot we can learn from them by a
Yeah.
long ways on that. So, but well, Anita, unless you have anything else that you would like to share today with the Dreamcatcher podcast, I think I will kind of tie up the podcast there. And I am very glad that we got to do this finally.
Yes, yes, for sure. If anyone's interested, you can find my Facebook fan author group. It's called the Witchy Crew Community. I'm going to try to send it to you so you can leave the link.
Okay.
And it's
Awesome.
for anyone who wants inspiration. You know, it's a community where we all get. It's it's since I just started it, but it's for all of us to get together.
Awesome. That
Yeah.
sounds great. We'll definitely get that shared in the show notes there. So that sounds great. So Anita, thank you. Thank you for the patience and everything. So
Thank you so
I
much for having
appreciate it.
me.
Well, and I look forward to continuing our conversation later on. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So see ya.